Hey, what is up, mortals? It's Chara zor-el here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 2 of What If Izuku Was a Stand User. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. This is where we really get into the meat of things. I'm so excited. So, we begin. The morning for Izuku Midoriya started like all the others before it. He was in class that day listening to the lectures his teacher had prepared. That was before he stopped teaching for an important message. Now we're about 2 months away from the end of your third and final year of middle school. At this point, you'll have to start thinking about what you want to do with yourselves after your time here, the teacher explained to the class. So you'll be spending the next 10 minutes filling out these career aptitude tests, which should help you in making this important decision. The teacher grabbed a stack of papers and then smirked. Then again, I don't see the point. I already know you all want to be pro heroes. He threw the papers in the air as the students showed off their quirks and excitement. However, amidst the crowd, there was one person who wasn't happy being paired up with his fellow students. A blonde-haired boy that saw himself as the alpha of the pack. The one known as Katsuki Bakugo. Hey, teach! Don't pair me up with these wannabes, Bakugo said. I'm the only one in this class that has a chance of being the next best thing. In response, the other students became enraged at him. Bakugo was never known for being the nicest kid at the bunch and fired back at the upset students with another taunt. Well, Bakugo, said the teacher, according to my records, it says here that you plan on going to UA. This caused the other students in the classroom to slowly mutter to each other in jealous envy. They knew that UA was the top hero school in all of Japan, and while Bakugo had some social issues stemming from his inferiority complex, deep down the other kids knew that he had the best chance of being accepted to the school. Well, funnily enough, there's actually one other student in this class who plans on going to UA as well, the teacher explained. According to my records, I believe that person is Izuku Midoriya. The class went silent as everyone looked at the quirkless team, which followed them bursting out laughing. No one in class believed he had any chance at being accepted into the most prestigious hero school in all of Japan, especially with no powers. The only one that wasn't laughing was Bakugo, who slowly walked over to Izuku's desk and slammed his hands on the desk, causing the explosive force of his quirk to send Midoriya flying out of his chair and onto the floor. Listen up, Deku! Kacchan yelled. Of all the people in the room, you're the most pathetic! You really think UA would accept a quirkless loser like you into the hero course when they could have someone like me? Hell, without a quirk, you'd get killed in the entrance exams alone! Izuku looked down to the floor in shame as the other classmates continued to ridicule him for his dream. After school, Izuku walked home, remembering the words Bakugo told him in class. His mind was full of thoughts and questions that he obsessed about over the years. Was it possible for someone without a quirk to become a pro hero? Could he achieve his dream? These questions sat in the back of his head for years with no official answer. Stupid Kacchan! Midoriya mumbled to himself. Saying I can't be a hero? Who cares if I don't have a flashy quirk like him? I can still be a hero. I just have to keep believing in myself and keep smiling, no matter how rough things get! After his self-confident speech, he walked down a tunnel, laughing like his idol All Might. Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Not aware that behind him, a manhole cover began shaking with the gelatin-like form shaping from the lid. As he turned around, he noticed a large, monstrous green creature with the face of evil staring down at him. Ah, perfect. You'll make a perfect skin suit for me to hide in, kid! The monster said as he slowly moved towards the frightened teen. Izuku tried to run away but was tackled by the villain as he began to stuff himself down Izuku's mouth. Come on, kid! It'll only hurt for a minute. I just need to borrow your body so I can lose the hero pursuing me. Just make it easy for both of us and cooperate. The sludge monster was already halfway down Izuku's throat. He couldn't breathe and was struggling to break free, but to no avail. That was when he started to panic and realized that he could be dead in seconds if he didn't do something fast. Izuku's fight-or-flight response kicked into overdrive. He was so scared that he didn't realize that for the few brief seconds he was fighting for his life, a green aura surrounded his body, as if some kind of fighting spirit awakened from within him. But in his situation, the only thing the teen noticed was his vision getting blurry and his strength leaving him. He realized he was dying, it was hopeless in fighting off the villain. The green aura surrounding the child faded away as he used what little strength he had left to make a desperate call for help. Within seconds, the call was answered as a manhole cover was knocked into the air, prompting the sludge villain to turn around and notice a hulking 8-foot man with groceries in his hand staring him down from the other end of the tunnel. "Have no fear, young one," the man said heroically, "for I am here." The villain's facial expression went from a look of evil cynicism to terrifying shock as the hero began to rush the monster. Texas Smash! With one victorious blow, he turned the supervillain into green vapor as the only thing that stood in his wake was Izuku, seconds away from losing consciousness. He used the last few seconds he had to see who saved his life, but couldn't make out the image of the hero. Moments later, he awakened to the feeling of his face being repeatedly slapped. When Midoriya opened his eyes, he saw the man who saved him, the legendary All Might himself. "Ah, you're awake! Thought I lost you there for a second." The teen had to wipe his eyes for a second and then get another look. It really was All Might in front of him. He crawled a few feet back and was overwhelmed with a barrage of ecstatic emotions. Izuku never thought in all his years that he would meet All Might in the flesh. "Oh my god, it's All Might!" he thought to himself in overwhelming joy. "I don't believe it! He looks so much cooler in person!" The first thing he said to the pro hero was that he needed his autograph. He reached for his pen and his hero journal, which was on the ground nearby. He opened it and realized that All Might was one step ahead of him and signed the journal for him. The fanboy gave All Might an overwhelming thank you as the #1 pro was preparing to leap off into the distance with the captured felon. That was when Izuku thought to himself that this could be his only chance to ask the man if someone without a quirk could be a hero. The question that sat in his head for years with no definitive answer. And Izuku had a chance to get the closure he needed. All Might leapt into the air and thanked the boy once again, only to realize the boy was on his leg, holding on for dear life. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Are you crazy, kid? Let go of me!" All Might tried to get the boy off his leg, but as Izuku struggled for dear life, he unknowingly grabbed onto the part of All Might's pants that was storing the bottled-up sludge villain. The two were both so distracted by the bizarre situation that they didn't realize that the villain fell out of All Might's pocket and was on a deep dive towards the concrete below. Check out our second channel anime deep dive, link in the description. "Wait! All Might, please! If you let go of me, I'll fall to the ground and die!" That's when he stopped trying to push the child off, realizing that he had a point. "I'm sorry, I just had a lot of questions I need to ask you. You're my favorite all-time hero, and I don't think I'll ever get another chance to ask you this question!" All Might didn't have a choice in the matter, so he tried to find an empty rooftop to drop the boy on. "That wasn't a very smart move, son," All Might said, looking at the horrified Izuku. "Well, I have a few minutes to spare, so whatever it is you wish to ask me, I'll..." The #1 hero was interrupted by a cough, and he noticed blood on the hand he used to cover his mouth. That's when he seemed to be in a rush to get out of there. Sorry, kiddo, I'm afraid I didn't have as much time as I thought. I gotta check." He turned around and walked towards the edge of the rooftop. "What? You just said nope, sorry. I just remembered, I got somewhere to be." "Wait, I just have to know! Is it possible for someone without a quirk to become a hero just like you?" That question made All Might stop in his tracks. After a couple of seconds, the man turned around and looked at Izuku. "A hero without a quirk?" That's when a thick white smoke surrounded the hulking hero. The blonde man was frozen in his tracks, unable to move. Izuku was so in thought about his questions that he didn't even notice about what's happening. "You see, all my life, I dreamed of becoming a hero that saves lives, just like you. But I wasn't given any special quirks. I can't fly or shoot fire from my mouth, but I still want to be someone that helps people. So is there any way that I could be just like you?" That's when he looked up at the #1 hero, only to find an anorexic young man surrounded by what little smoke was still around him. "Ah, crap," the #1 hero muttered to himself. Izuku screamed in total confusion, asking what happened and began questioning whether or not he was the real All Might. After a sigh of dismay, The man told Izuku the truth. I can assure you that I really am All Might. The man said as he coughed up more blood, prompting Izuku to scream in a terrified manner. No, that can't be! You're supposed to be All Might, the hulking giant that saves people with a fearless smile on his face! The boy's words caused All Might to sigh in disappointment. There's plenty of fear behind that smile, kid. Look, I don't normally show this to random people I meet, so I'm counting on you to keep this a secret. That's when All Might lifted up his shirt to show Izuku a disgusting bruised dent on his body. He explained how he got a scar from a tough fight 5 years back and how it crippled his ability to be the symbol of peace. Wait, 5 years ago? You aren't talking about your fight with Toxic Chainsaw, are you? All Might looked up at the kid as he remembered the villain he was talking about. Toxic Chainsaw? Oh yeah, I remember that guy. No, he hit pretty hard, but not hard enough to put a dent in me like this. The fight I'm talking about was with someone else. All Might took a brief moment of silence before continuing. Look, being a hero isn't easy, kid. That smile you always see me with, it's just a brave face that I put on when the going gets tough. Everyday heroes like me have to put their lives on the line to save others. And trust me, kid. There's villains out there that can't be beaten unless you have powers. So, no. I don't think it's possible to be a hero without a quirk. That last sentence shattered Izuku and left him speechless. All Might sat back up and made his way to the roof access door nearby. Before he left, he said one last thing to Izuku. Look, it's not all hopeless. If you want to save lives, there are plenty of options like joining the military or being a police officer. They don't get as much action on a daily basis as someone like me, but they do help out. All Might opened the door to the roof access before leaving. He said to Izuku that it's not bad to have dreams. He just needs to make sure that they are obtainable. All Might shut the door, leaving the emerald-eyed teen on the rooftop to think over what he was told. Izuku sat on the ground, thinking what to do next. The idol he so looked up to said to his face that someone like him could not be a pro-hero, the one thing he wished to be. After seconds of wallowing in empty sadness, he was interrupted by a loud explosion off in the distance. An explosion? The boy questioned. All Might, who was walking down the steps, also heard the loud bang. What, another villain attack? All Might asked himself. No, I can't. I gotta get this. All Might looked down at his pants pocket where he was keeping the sludge villain, only to realize that he wasn't there. After looking around, questioning where he went to, he painted a theory in his head that the kid from earlier knocked the villain out of his pants. He looked out the window facing the direction of the explosion and let out a, "Oh no," as he ran as fast as he could to the source of the explosion. Back on the rooftop, Izuku looked at the explosion off in the distance. It must be a villain attack. I wonder what... He then remembered All Might's words about how there are villains out there and that they can't be defeated without quirks. He also remembered his earlier struggle against the slime monster and how it nearly cost him his life. The assault by the sludge villain was a reality check. Oh my god, was he right? Was Bakugo right? He questioned, remembering the years of Kachan mocking Izuku's dreams of becoming a hero. All these years of telling myself that I'd be the world's greatest hero. Was I just lying to myself? I mean, part of me knew deep down that it was impossible in the first place. I couldn't even take on a goo villain for a few seconds without losing consciousness. That's when he was close to breaking out in tears, until he felt something crawl up his left shoulder. He looked around and saw a strange green creature on his shoulder, staring at him. It made a high-pitched screech noise, which prompted Midoriya to scream like a girl and crawl back several feet. The spider-like creature floated towards him. Holy crap! What the heck is that? Get it away! He yelled as he attempted to kick the creature back. However, the entity phased through his entire leg, as if permeated through the kick. Confused at the failed impact, he stopped crawling back to see what he was looking at. He got up and moved slowly towards the creature. He reached out to poke it with his journal, only to find that the book completely phased through the strange being, as if it was a ghost. Okay, This is new, Izuku muttered, moving his book through the creature's body. It then let out another high-pitched scream, prompting the teen to step back and tense up. He was confused and slightly frantic as to what he was looking at, but it had Izuku's full, undivided attention. The creature looked similar to the xenomorph facehuggers from the Alien series, but with the shiny, chrome-like shell on its body with a tank-style turret on the center of its body, which was surrounded by a plate with strange red symbols. What the heck is this thing? Izuku thought to himself. Have I finally lost my mind? After all the years of Kachan's bullying and having my dreams shattered just now, have I finally lost it to the point where I'm seeing things? Unless... That's when Izuku hatched a theory. No way! Are you... a quirk? Are you... my quirk? The creature didn't respond. I know of a few pro heroes that have a sentient creature-like ability they can call upon. It's a rare kind of emitter quirk. Are you real? You're not some make-believe thing in my head or anything, are you? Izuku was interrupted by a second explosion from the same location as before, with this one being louder than the first. Oh man, must be getting serious over there, he said to himself. He looked back at the entity he was with, and decided to go check out whatever was making the explosions off in the distance. He made his way towards the door of the roof before he stopped for a moment. Wait! Before we go, do you have a name? What should I call you? The creature let out a high-pitched noise. Izuku just stood there, confused with how to respond, which strung the slight sign of irritation from Midoriya's ghastly companion, as he used its tail to whip the boy's hero journal out of his hand. It took the journal and began dragging its tail across one of the pages. Hey, what are you doing? Izuku said with slight vexation. He got a closer look and realized it was cutting something into one of its pages. It was spelling something out. P-E-R-S-O-N-A. That's when Midoriya realized that whatever this thing was, it was definitely real, and had some kind of intelligence that was on par with a human. The bug-like entity let out another noise, signaling that it finished. Midoriya picked up his journal and read what it wrote. Personal Jesus? Wait, is that your name? The entity screeched in response. I'll take that as a yes! Alright, let's stick together, alright? Izuku opened the door on the roof and made his way down to the street level. On the way down, his mood from earlier completely changed from a depressed-like state to overwhelming joy. Holy whoa, I've actually got a quirk! I didn't think it was possible. I have to tell my mom about this! This is the greatest day of my life! Elsewhere, things weren't as cheery. Citizens were running for their lives as explosions erupted from an alleyway with fires spreading to nearby markets. The source of these explosions was the slime villain from earlier, who ensnared a middle school student, holding him hostage. Further explosions erupted from the villain's gooey body. The cause of these blasts came from the villain's hostage and Midoriya's rival classmate, Katsuki Bakugo. I really hit the jackpot with this power you got, kid! The slime villain said as he laughed. If I can get this power of yours, I can take down All Might no problem. I'll be famous! Pro heroes were quick on the scene to put a stop to the situation, with the one on the front lines being the pro hero, Death Arms. We gotta save this kid! He yelled to the other pros and sidekicks as he charged the villain. What kind of scumbag holds a middle school kid hostage, you bastard! Death Arms attempted a 1-2 punch combo on the villain, only for his hands to sink into the criminal's body. The villain grinned as he grabbed the hero and slammed him against the garage door. The villain turned his attention to his sidekicks, who dodged the incoming tendrils. Damn it! I can't fight this guy. I need backup! All Might arrived on the scene in his skeletal form. He peeked through the crowd and saw the cause of the fight, being the same bad guy he fought earlier. He escaped, and the situation was far more dire. The pro heroes on the scene were either ineffective at stopping the lawbreaker, or were too preoccupied with keeping the citizens out of the crossfire. I seriously dropped that bottle back when I was lecturing that kid? I can't believe I made such a rookie mistake. I'm pathetic. Off in the distance, Izuku Midoriya was heading towards the sound of the explosions, sketching into his journal about his newly discovered companion. His mind brushed with the possibilities of what it could do. He didn't know much about Personal Jesus other than its name, its unusual arachnid-like shape, the fact that it had potential range-like capabilities due to the gun on the creature's back, and it could somehow understand everything Izuku says it does, despite it only being able to speak in high-pitched squeals. As Izuku wrote down more notes, another explosion fired off just on the other side of the road he was traveling. No way! Is the fight from earlier still happening? It's been like 6 minutes! Izuku crossed the street to get a better view at the chaos that was unfolding. After looking back through the crowd, he noticed that it was a villain attack. But not just any villain attack. The perpetrator to the madness was the same villain that attacked him earlier that day. What? That's impossible! I thought All Might took that villain down earlier. Wait, when I was holding on to him for dear life earlier, did I knock the villain out of his pocket? Feelings of terrified guilt started to build up inside Izuku. If that's the case, then all this destruction is my fault. The people in the crowd began asking where the other pro heroes were. All Might especially. Feelings of guilt were building inside of Izuku, while on the other side of the crowd, a deformed All Might who was watching helplessly scolded himself for being a useless hero. Another explosion was fired off from the sludge monster, getting the attention of Izuku. He looked at the carnage unfolding and saw something that tugged on his inner strings. He saw the face of Bakugo with a look of terrified fear. As if Kacchan knew this was the end. Fear instantly took a hold of Midoriya. Kacchan! Personal Jesus blazed out of Izuku's body and latched itself onto Izuku's shoulder like a parrot. All the while, it emitted a sea-green aura of light around its body. What are you doing? He said aloud. The red symbols surrounding Personal Jesus' turret began to rotate until its gun locked onto one of the symbols. The creature then stabbed Izuku in the back with its tail, resulting in Midoriya letting out a screech of pain. What the heck are you doing? Within seconds, the crippling fear and guilt that Midoriya felt was replaced with feelings of overwhelming rage as Midoriya's attention focused on the villain holding Kacchan hostage. In a fit of anger, he broke through the crowd and made a mad dash towards the sludge monster. All Might and the other pro heroes were shocked at the display of the child. Hey, what the hell are you doing? You're gonna get yourself killed! Death Arms yelled at the child. The villain turned his attention towards Midoriya. You again? The villain growled as Midoriya sprinted towards the villain, with green eyes of intense rage locked onto the slimy wrongdoer. I've never been this angry at anything in my entire life, Midoriya thought to himself. He looked down at the spider entity on his shoulder. Is this that thing's ability? I can't think straight. What kind of power is this? I can't think! He then yelled at the monster. Let go of Kacchan, you bastard! I'll kill you! Like hell you will, kid! The sludge monster was ready to strike, but Midoriya remembered a couple of fighting strategies he studied in his hero journal. One of them was to throw his backpack at a villain, should he run into a tough spot. He grabbed his bag, whipped it around him, and chucked it at the sludge villain, hitting him with a barrage of school supplies. This stunned the villain into loosening his grip around Kacchan's mouth, allowing him to breathe once more. Midoriya ran to the sludge monster and used his hands to attempt to rip away at the monster, like a child frantically unwrapping a humongous Christmas present. What the hell? What are you doing, Deku? Kacchan yelled. I don't know! Midoriya shouted. I just got stabbed by some creature thing that I think is a quirk I developed. Next thing I know, I was so angry at this guy that I ran and I could barely control myself. Wait, what did you just... The sludge monster covered Kacchan's mouth as it regained himself. Cheap trick, kid. But it's gonna take more than schoolyard tactics to stop me. The villain was ready to whip out one of its tendrils at Midoriya, but Personal Jesus once again latched onto Izuku's shoulder. The symbol plate around the turret spun once more, locked into place, and this time fired a projectile from its turret at the villain's eyeball, exploding on impact into a cloud of dust. Ah! eye! My eye! What the heck just shot me? The green-haired middle schooler's mind began to clear up from the sudden rage spike he experienced. His emotions returned to that of terrified anxiety and being able to think more clearly. At that point, the only thing on his mind was saving Kacchan. He reached for his frenemies arm and, with all his strength, tried to pull him out of the villain's grasp, but to no effect. All Might watched the whole thing from the crowd. He knew that he was the only one to put an end to this conflict. I gotta stop this now, before this gets any worse. All Might's hero strength began returning to him as the villain regained himself once more and tried to whip one of its tendrils at Midoriya. The kid! Save the kid! Death Arms yelled as he and the other pro heroes ran to save Midoriya as the villain's arm slammed down on the team. But he wasn't fast enough. From out of the dust cloud came All Might, who bulked up and stopped the villain's blow. I really am pathetic, All Might admitted, holding back the villain's sludgy strength. I told you what it took to be a hero, and I wasn't even living up to the ideals I taught you! All Might broke free of the villain's grasp with his right arm and used his left to pull Kacchan out of the villain's body, with Kamui Woods grabbing both Midoriya and Kacchan to get them out of the crossfire. The villain knew he was done for. He no longer had hostages, and the #1 hero had him right where he wanted him. All Might once more charged up one of his signature punches, and with its colossal power, splattered the sludge villain all over the walls and into the sky, as the air pressure of his punch kicked up a gust powerful enough to knock nearby civilians off their feet and create a tornado in the midst of a carnage. Moments later, the tornado evolved into a rainstorm. All Might held his fist up, signaling his victory against the monster. This time the evildoer was down for the count. After the battle, Bakugo and All Might got caught up in the midst of some local media coverage. While Midoriya was getting chewed up by some of the pro heroes, "What were you thinking out there, kid? You got a death wish or something?" Death Arms asserted, scolding the green-eyed boy. After the disciplinary speech from the pros, Midoriya hoped to get a second with All Might so he could apologize for causing the mess, but he was swarmed by news reporters. Within minutes, he got tired of waiting and walked home. On his walk home, he was given a lot to think about, mostly about his newly granted personal Jesus, and what its power and ability are that made Izuku snap into a fit of sudden rage today. He was eager to learn the truth. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or if you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord in the description of the video and hit up the head of one of these areas. We're always looking for more members to join us. That's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you like the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals, have a fantastic day, and in the words of my senpai, Bruno Bucciarati, arrivederci.